Welcome to Sock Radio and Spirit Weavers. Join us as Jody White Wolf Morrison shares with us her knowledge, abilities, teaching us how it's done, right here on Sock Radio. Brought to you by spiritualistonline.com.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Sock Radio and welcome to Spirit Weavers. I'm your host, Jody White Wolf Morrison, and I'm delighted to be with you here today, tonight, whatever this is for you. As you know, Spirit Weavers is dedicated to introducing folks who are living their spirituality and exploring how that's woven into their everyday lives through their work, their practices, and their beliefs. And actually, that means almost every one of us are aware of doing exactly that. My guest today is a very special person who is doing that in spades. He lives his work, his practices, and his beliefs. They're a part of his everyday life. Our guest is, actually what I'd like to do is to allow our guest to introduce himself, but let me say that our guest is Raul Estevez, and he is coming to you from Australia. Hello there, Raul.
Thank you so much, Jody. And you pronounce my name so lovely. Not many people say it properly, and you did. Well done.
Yo hablo muy poquito español. Which
very good.
To
Muy bien.
For those who don't speak Spanish, what I just said is that I speak a little bit of Spanish. So welcome to the show, Raul. I guess what I'd like is for you, if you'd give us just a little bit of who you are. Who are you, Raul?
Okay. Well, that's a loaded question. However, I'll try to keep it into a nutshell. I was born in South America in a country called Uruguay, between Argentina and Brazil. My parents migrated to Australia when I was in my late teens. I've started my career in hotels, cleaning toilets. And long story short, I ended up being a specialist in opening hotels. I opened 11 hotels worldwide, international hotels. I became an educator, and that also opened the doors to me worldwide. And I traveled the world more times than I care to remember, but it was an amazing experience, helping people learn and seeing places in the world that some of us can only imagine or dreaming to be there. I was extremely fortunate and guided to be able to go to those places through my career, through my studies, and through being a soul living a human experience and allowing that incongruency of being a soul living a human experience to really flourish and to take it all in and to allow myself to be.
That sounds amazing. How did you, okay, now I know you're really well known for your angel communications. Yes. How did that start for you?
It started at the age of about 8 or 9, and I'm not going to give the whole story away because it's in one of my books.
Okay.
But I was actually crossing over a fence, and I fell over and I hit my head on the ground really badly.
Uh-huh.
And Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael came to me, and they started talking. And when you are a child, you put no barriers to that sort of communications. And they've been with me ever since, including my own guardian angel, but they have been with me even when I didn't want them, if that makes sense. So my communication started at a young age, and it was challenged. It was challenged probably when I went to university, because for people that have had that opportunity to go to university like I did, you are always challenged by showing empirical evidence. Everything has to be justified. You need to have proof. And when you have that sort of communications with your angels, there's no proof. You know it within your soul that that's real and that's what's really happening. The flip side of all of this, that is, it was funny to me when my first employer actually in a hospitality college sent me back to university to do a teaching degree, and they were paying for it. And they said, oh, we're going to send you to Melbourne University. And I knew that it was the second oldest university in Australia, quite prestige, all of that. But the amazing thing that it made me smile first and then laugh is that when I arrived at the university to enroll and to go through the process, is that the emblem of the university that actually hits you in the face as you go in is actually an angel on flight.
Oh,
so
wow.
Melbourne University has an angel. So to me, it was a clear sign from my angel saying, this is where you need to be. And I spent, Jody, the best part of 11 years with that university.
That is amazing. I have an old friend who actually, for a long time, was head of the Department of Education at the University of Melbourne. So we'll have to have a chat about that sometime.
Oh, my goodness. Maybe it was my thesis supervisor. We'll chat later.
Yes, indeed. That's, for all the bigness of the world, it's really quite a small little marble, isn't it?
My late grandmother used to say the world is a handkerchief.
Oh, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Now, so you from a very young age were connected to Archangel Michael and Raphael, two angels with whom I also am very, very familiar. And that is a weird thing, isn't it? When you know something is true, but if you were to say it to the people around you, they would probably have their suspicions as to your sanity.
Correct. My grandmother and my late grandmother and my late mother, when I was growing up, they encouraged me to talk about angels, but they also said, just be mindful not to talk outside the doors, if you know what I mean, outside into the outside world, because perhaps they will not get the clear understanding of what you're saying. And I tried that a couple of times. And as you were saying, I did get knocked back in the head, kind of like put back into your box. But I learned to actually deal with that myself and to travel with my angels, even though I wasn't able to share it with everybody. And probably people from Melbourne University now, they're probably some of the academics that I had the pleasure of working with. Some of them knew, and some others will probably listen to this and say, what is Raul talking about? Angels? I will remind them that the emblem of the university is an angel. So there you have it.
I think that's wonderful. This is an interesting, weird little question. About 4 times in the last several days, people have said to me, do angels really have wings? What do you think about that?
Okay, I'll tell you my experience with the angels, and each person's experience is totally different and unique, because angels will come into your life in a way that is non-threatening. They don't want to scare you. So sometimes if you see an angel with wings, they represent themselves in that form. So you are able to receive the message without being scared, because you don't really know what you're looking at. To me, I see energy, and perhaps that energy could be in the sense of wings at times, but not really. I just see these rays of energy coming through, and I know who's actually talking to me at a certain point in time, because they actually introduce themselves to me, and I just start my conversation. But whatever the way that each individual receives that message from the angels, it's okay. Don't try and look for wings if they don't show it to you. But if they show it to you, that's the most comfortable way for you to see them and to have an open communication. So you are not in a state of, oh my God, am I going crazy? Or you go in a state of fear. They want you to feel calm.
When you first were connecting with angels, beside Raphael and Michael, did the angels introduce themselves to you, or did they just
I,
start talking? How did that happen?
when that accident happened to me, yes, they introduced themselves to me because as I later on analyzed what happened to me as I grew older, um, they realized that I was in a state of shock and in a state of I didn't know what to do. So their way of getting immediate rapport with me was to mention their names because, as you know, when you meet somebody and you know their name, then you have a connection, and that's what they were trying to do with me. Connect immediately with a name and talk to me and telling me what was going to happen. And they were quite clear. Stay there, do this, do that, and immediately I follow all those instructions. And I was able to actually get myself out of the situation and been whisked into hospital and so on and so forth. But that idea of listening to a name, it could be just because they want to create a sense of rapport. However, at times it could be a color. Sometimes it could be just a feeling. They don't need to even mention anything to you. It's the best way to communicate between you and them, and they will find it.
That fascinates me. I do a form of it's semi-automatic writing. I sit at the computer when the urge comes and I type. And I ended up
Yes.
having to take an advanced angel communication course because I
Yes.
was getting these absolutely beautifully written things, and they were signed by angelic names I never heard of. And I thought,
Yes.
now what in the world is going on? And so I would, because I didn't know very much about angels, in spite of
Yes.
Michael being my both my guardian angel and my main guide. And I had to go and look them up to find out who was talking to me and then take a course to learn a little bit about them. So I envy you your experience
Mhm.
because it sounds like it was a lot easier for you than it was for me.
Sure. I guess that is because, as I said to you before, when we are children, we put not barrier. You know that sometimes people say, oh, well, that little boy or that little girl, they're just playing with their imaginary friend. And that imaginary friend is real, it's an angel.
Yes,
And it's actually
yes,
talking to you and playing with you. It's that later on in life, we've been taught by the society that we live in, no, you don't need to talk to imaginary friends. It's kind of like taboo. Don't
hmm
do that. And some people don't grow up out of that. We just perhaps keep it to ourselves.
definitely. Definitely. Fortunately, those experiences started happening to me once I had, once I was well on my own way,
Mm.
spiritually, in terms of having some understanding of what was going on. But it was still a rather surprising experience to be
Yes.
getting written communication from entities whose were quite clear about what their names were, but
Yes.
who I had no idea. It would be like if somebody came up to you in the supermarket and said, "Oh, wonderful to meet you finally," and they're
Hmm.
talking away, and you're thinking,
Hmm.
"Now, who is that?
Yes.
Who is
Correct.
that?" Um,
And the issue sometimes, Jody, is that they're going to communicate with you, and you're going to meet many of those angels,
mhm.
which it doesn't matter how much research you will do, you will not find their names there because they are entities and beings and energy that they're communicating with you, and that they have a name for you. And perhaps that name is something that it will be created in another book to train or to show or to share with somebody else, if you know what I mean. So
Yes,
sometimes you may have done that advanced course, but perhaps you didn't find all of the names in there because they were given just to you and for you to perhaps share with others. And that's
yes,
that's the way that I started writing my first book, My Angel's Connection. And it was just connecting, it was just little stories. And I truly resonate with what you were saying before. That's that automatic writing that happened. I'm old school to me even nowadays. Writing is I put pen to paper, and I've got a beautiful diary, and it's all with recycled paper, and I write my books there before I even go into the computer. So I
mm,
truly just let it flow, and I'm like you. Um, it could be 11:30 at night, and I just get that influx of information that I cannot
Yeah.
help it, but just grab my beautiful journal and start just writing whatever it comes through. And that's the way that my books were actually born. And I wrote another book for little kids called My Little Angels Talk to Me, because I wanted little kids to have a conversation not only with their angels, but also with their little friends, to talk about angels. And My Little Angels Talk to Me was written and created by me and illustrated by my dear friend for so many years, Sonia Daru. And we created this gorgeous book that it has a handle, that they can take it outside, that they can sit under a tree. And we got the beautiful Archangel Michael there, but illustrated in a way that children would understand, with a language that it talks to them. It doesn't talk at them. And we created different characters. And throughout it, the little kids will get the different stories. And at the end, they got an area where they can actually have the opportunity to color in their own little angels, and then the page, they can detach it from the book and post it on the fridge at home.
I love that. I love the idea of their involvement with it, because that's what makes it real. And when kids grow up as you did, with the approval and the understanding, of your late grandmother and your late mother, so many kids don't have that. And when there's a book that says, not only do you have that, but here, show yourself how they appear to you, there's a certain validity that comes, and a certain, I guess, maybe certainty that they grow up with, that's so different from what so many kids experience with the so-called imaginary friends, and they're not real, and it's just, all that. I think that's a marvelous addition. Good for you.
Thank you so much. When we did our book launch for My Little Angels Talk to Me, we actually did it outdoors, and we had picnic rags with beautiful cushions. And all of the parents and all the little kids, they sat around, and Sonia's little angel named Sienna was there. We created T-shirts with the little angels on them from the book. And she was wearing these beautiful white angel wings. And she read a couple of stories to the kids that they were sitting there on the beautiful blankets and cushions. And it was amazing to be there on that space. And Sonia and I, we had tears in our eyes, because she was giving so much emotion to what she was reading. And the kids were opening the books and following the stories. And it was amazing after she finished how they asked questions and how she was able to answer them without us intervening. It was just amazing to see. It was probably the best book launch ever, in my view.
I think that is wonderful. That just makes so much sense to do a book launch for the grouping of people the book is designed for, in a way that works for them.
Yes.
It's just, I have goosebumps. That's lovely.
To us, it was particularly important to reach out to them. And I remember Sonia and I only said a few words at the beginning, and then we just passed it on to Sienna, and we just let it evolve, and it was just beautiful to see. And they had little things to eat and to drink, and it was a little angel party.
Oh, how wonderful. And I'll bet that there are people walking around today saying, wow, I was at an angel party, and really having a memory of really experiencing that. I love that. Raul,
I remember.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
No, go ahead.
No, I remember a couple of parents saying we'd never been to a book launch, and we were so glad that this was our first one, because we're taking with us an experience that we never imagined, and that truly warms your heart, because that was the full intention.
That is gorgeous. Oh, that just is gorgeous. I was just going to ask you, I know that your website Why don't you tell us what your website is, and then I'll go on with my question.
Not a problem. My website for anybody that would like to get in touch with me is the www.crystalbluebutterflyaltogether.com.au. crystalbluebutterfly.com.au.
How did you come up with the name Crystal Blue Butterfly?
Wow, that's a beautiful story, which I shall tell you, and I will keep it short. Before my late mother passed away, she gave me a present because she said, I'm not going to see you graduate. And it was a beautiful little golden chain for my wrist with my initials on it. And I wore that to every university graduation that I ever had. And secondly, she said, Raul, every time you see a butterfly, it will bring a message from me to you. And Jody, believe me when I tell you, I was delivering training in a country for teachers from a university, and it was snowing, and I went early morning for a walk before going into delivering my class. And it was a few years back, so mobile phones were not there. I had a digital camera, but I just thought, I'll leave everything behind. I'm going for a walk. And it was snowing, and this beautiful blue butterfly just flew around me twice and left.
Oh, my.
And I was looking around to say, is anybody here in this park to witness this? Because I just saw it. And then I realized I don't need any confirmation. I saw it. So when it was time to actually name this, I asked Archangel Michael, I'm just going to go to bed now and I'm going to go to sleep. I'd like you to come in my dreams and talk to me about what should be the name. And Crystal Blue Butterfly was given, and I didn't doubt it at all. I woke up in the morning and I say to my partner, okay, Crystal Blue Butterfly is born. It just hatched from its cocoon. So there we have it.
Oh, what a lovely story. Many people do see butterflies and know that butterflies are connected in some way with messages that come to them from spirit. But to have a physical butterfly in the middle of winter like that, what a lovely thing. Wow.
It was just truly amazing, amazing, amazing.
Oh, right. You know, I would imagine that your life has been filled with those kinds of experiences, inexplicable to the human senses, but totally comprehensible to spirit senses.
I guess that yes, and sometimes many years later you actually get the confirmation. And I remember many years ago creating a vision board, and the old-fashioned vision board, because now you can download an app that you can create a vision board on your telephone. But in those days, I grabbed a cardboard and I imagined where I wanted to be in about, 5 years time type of thing. And I was at the Atlantis Hotel in Dubai in 2014.
Okay.
Yes, 13, 14. No, 2013. And my partner sent me a picture message saying, do you remember this? And part of that vision board was me at the Atlantis Hotel in Dubai in a specific room with a specific view and many other things that were happening at the time. And you should think, there you have it. Whatever you put out, if you feel it truly within your heart, you are going to find the way. The angels are going to guide you, but you're going to have to put an effort into it. And I always said, you know what? No one gave me anything for free. I haven't forgotten that I clean toilets for a living, ever. And I had an opportunity in China to train in different groups, but a set of about 2,000 housekeepers. And they were astonished by me taking my jacket and sort of like sleeving up and showing them how to clean a toilet. And going through all those experiences and then being there at the Atlantis in Dubai and looking at saying, yeah, thank you, angels, I got it, but I've also put the effort into it.
Exactly.
Nothing just came my way because it was just given. Is not about luck. Luck is about buying a lottery ticket and winning. This was about following the guidance and then putting the hard work. As I said to you, I spent 11 years at the University of Melbourne building up my knowledge and skills. And I know that university is not for everybody, and I'm not preaching that. But what I'm saying is that for me, that guidance was clear when I saw that angel at the entrance of the university. And what I did there with them, it opened the world to me to experiences that perhaps I wouldn't have had if I didn't go there.
Absolutely. I like very much the way you're describing what some people call the laws of attraction. That, it's not like you say, well, gee, I want a great job, and you sit back on your couch and wait for the phone to ring. It's not going to happen that way. And you're absolutely correct, I think, in saying that we're the hands and the feet, the arms and the legs of spirit.
Yes.
We do the work. And when we do that work, we get nudges in different directions. And when we pay attention to those nudges and we do the work, that's when things can begin to manifest.
I had doubts when I started writing, and I started thinking about writing my book. And I remember asking the angels, truly, who am I to write a book? And the answer was straight and clear. If you help one person with that book, Raul, job well done. And my first book, My Angels Connections, I've had emails from people in Germany, people in France, in London that I haven't met, that I've actually managed to touch them in a particular way with the words that they were in that book that I wouldn't have imagined at all, but I knew I was compelled to follow through with that. And it wasn't an easy task. Writing a book is not, you just don't sit in one sitting and you go and then you publish. It takes time, and as we learn in university, writing is about rewriting until you actually get the essence of what you would like to present to the reader. But the effort was truly worth my while 10,000 folds. And it wasn't ever at all about being a bestseller or whatever. It was about reaching somebody that probably you never met, but it was waiting desperately to read those words.
This is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm in the process of writing a book. Have been doing it now for several years, and it's changed and morphed. And Michael is what I call my writing partner, and he's constantly sending messages. Get busy. You haven't written. Get busy. And it is not an easy task to write a book. And again, like you, I was going to say, like you, my book, it's not intended to be a bestseller. It's called The Basics, a handbook. I think it's called a manual for being fully human. And it has to do with, the basics, the things that some people are lucky enough to grow up in environments where they learn this at their parents' or grandparents' knees. But most people haven't a clue, and they grow up, and it's like they're climbing toward the top of an iceberg without ever knowing how that iceberg is rooted. And so that's what the book is about. And it's hard to write. You're absolutely correct.
But that book can only be written by you. I cannot write that book. Nobody else can write that book. It was assigned to you. You couldn't have written My Angel Connections, and you couldn't have written My Little Angels Talk to Me. They were assigned to me. Exactly. We just need to accept the assignment and step up to the plate and deliver it, because it's beyond us. It's beyond you and I. And believe me when I tell you, Jody, it's beautiful to see your name on a book and to hold it. It's like a baby, but it's truly beyond me. It's truly beyond you. It's about the people that are going to read that. And you know what, Jody? There will be people that they will read that and they will reap so much benefit, but we will never hear from them. And that's okay, because that's the idea of a book. It doesn't matter who reads it. You don't need to get the accolades. The accolades will come because you are helping so many people with the words that you're writing in there. And some of them may never say even thank you. The thank you will be received just in your heart.
Exactly. I feel like that is true for all of the different tasks that individually we're called to. You know, we don't do them because of something that we want back. We don't do them for other people, really. We do them because they were given to us to do. And when we do what's given to us to do, then what needs to unfold from that's gonna.
Yeah, I I held on to my book for a number of years before I found the correct publisher, and I touched base with many publishers, and even some of them quite well known, but they didn't resonate with me, and I just say thanks but no thank you
Hmm.
until I found the right publisher, and it's a it's a Melbourne-based publisher, and it was starting out with me, and she said, "My goodness, Raul, you've been the catalyst. They already published more than about 30 books in a space of about, I don't know, a year or so."
Wow.
And then the name of the publishing house is White Light Publishing House. And as soon as I saw that name, I knew that it was the correct name because my mother's name in Spanish was Blanca, and Blanca means white in the
Right,
feminine in Spanish. And
right.
white light was an indication this is it. And you know what? For me, in the space of 9 months now, I published 3 books with them. And the
Wow.
last one is Journey of a Light Worker, which is a compilation of stories from truly light workers from around the world. And we are launching this book this coming Saturday, the 6th of May.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, I think right now, Raul, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come
Certainly.
back, I want to talk about quantum bioenergetics and flower therapy healing. Okay?
Beautiful. Let's
Wonderful.
do that.
We'll see you on the other side.
We are taking a break for messages from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. Jody White Wolf Morrison will be right back with more from Spirit Weavers. Spirit Talk with Julie. Spirit's medium, Julie Simpson, and guests delve into the world of spirit, the faith and the way of life, renewing the movement that brought two worlds together and ancient spiritual beliefs to the forefront of society, proving once and for all there is nothing to fear in talking to spirit. Live in the SOC Radio chat room on spiritualistonline.com, or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOC Radio. Join us on SOC Radio. Host your own online radio show. We welcome inquiries and ideas for your own show live right here on SOC Radio. Share your knowledge, thoughts and abilities. Bring your ideas to life with us here on SOC Radio and spiritualistonline.com. Or join any of our shows as a special guest, speaker or presenter. Check out the livelier spiritual chat show, the Spiritualist Open Circle Panel Forum, a monthly discussion show, or the Circle of Mediums, a weekly show sharing spirit messages and teaching all aspects of mediumship and psychic abilities. Or join our Christina on the monthly astrology show. Contact us now at socradio@gmail.com. SOC Radio aims to provide a wide range of hosts, shows, views and opinions while endeavouring to maintain our 3 vital principles of openness, honesty and integrity, covering all aspects of spiritualism, mediumship, healing, personal and spiritual development for all faiths, religions and walks of life as a way of life. As part of our spiritualistonline.com, Spiritualist Online Network and Lyceum, SOC Radio brings you the latest and honest news, views and names in the spiritual field. Check us out and tune in to SOC Radio on spiritualistonline.com. Join in the SOC Radio chat room on the website. Beyond the Veil with Terry Oz. Check it out first Monday, monthly, 2 p.m. UK time. Kerry shares her experiences and love of spiritual communication with those from beyond the veil. Join us live in the SOC Radio chat room on spiritualistonline.com or simply listen in at tunein.com and search for SOC Radio. SOC Radio welcomes you back to Spirit Weavers with Jody White Wolf Morrison.
Welcome back, everybody, to SOC Radio. This is Spirit Weavers with Jody White Wolf Morrison and our very special guest, Raul Estevez. And we have been talking about Raul's connection, very powerful connection to the angels. But that's not the only work Raul does. And so I wanted to begin this half of the show talking about two other modalities that Raul works with. And the first of those, I guess you could call them quantum bioenergetics. That's the way you name it on your website, Raul. So what exactly is that?
Thank you so much for asking that question. Quantum bioenergetics is truly a balancing technique. And if I could probably bring a reference that is a little bit close, not even just as a reference, it will be Reiki, but this is a hands-off modality. Usually the client will be on a massage table in a comfortable position with a pillow facing up. And I usually just say to them, okay, allow yourself to go into a dream state and think of your favorite color, whatever that might be. And I just tune in into the quantum bioenergetic waves that body actually sort of like emerges from it. And I just tune in with my hands and I go to the areas that they require balancing. And I focus to start with in the main 7 chakras. And later on, I will go to all different parts of the body. And sometimes I get something specific that it may come from a specific organ in the body. And I will describe that to the client at the end of the session. I take my own notes and I show them where all of this is located. By no means I claim to cue anything. This is about balancing the energy of the person and bringing them into a state that they can do with their own body, their individual healing. And if something needs to be paid attention by a medical doctor, I will immediately suggest that. Are you there? Hello?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
So it's not about diagnosing, it's not about fixing, it's about restoring the body's natural balance so that it can heal itself and, where necessary, get the medical people involved.
Correct. It's truly about, as you said, simply and as simply and as complex as it is balancing energy. So the person actually feels at one, the soul with the body.
That makes total sense to me. Do you work at all with aura, the aura of the person?
I'll tell you what, I work with aura with my flower therapy healing.
And how does that work?
Okay, I was very fortunate to learn flower therapy healing from a renowned flower therapy healer here in Australia by the name of Robert Reeves. And Robert actually is a natural path himself, but he taught us how to actually bring in the energy of each flower and understand what each flower is for in order to sometimes not only clear the aura, but also clear bad energy away from the body. For example, just to give you something that your listeners perhaps could do this at home. If you have in your garden, or perhaps you can go to a flower shop and buy one, but if it is in the garden, it's even better, a white rose. The white rose brings an angelic energy of purification. And that actually, you can use it just to run the white rose around the aura of the person and see what it needs clearing, or simply an exercise that it can be done at home. And I use it and it's quite effective. Um, if you have the plant outside, do like a little ritual and talk to the rose bush and ask for the rose bush permission for you to cut a couple of flowers and bring them in your bed while it's actually unmade. Don't make it for the day. In the morning, just scatter the petals of the white rose on your bed, wherever they fall. Yes? No need to put it pretty, it's whatever they fall. That white rose will lift the energy, whatever energy may be on your bed. And at the end of the day, if the white petals are all shriveled up, you can put them in a little bowl and go outside and return it to Gaia, to Mother Nature, to Mother Earth, to just reprocess or reproduce again. If the petals are still white, you can reuse them again because they still got a lot of energy that you can use. But if they shrivel up, it's because there was a lot of things on your bed that the petals already lift up and they need to go back outside with your gratitude for clearing that energy from your bed.
That is a wonderful activity. And I'll tell you something that's really strange. Well, it's not really strange, but as you were talking, I could smell the white rose. I was sitting, and the smell is now gone, but it was very strong, and it was definitely a white rose.
And you know, Jody, at home here in my gardens, in the front garden and the backyard, we got different type of roses, but mainly in the backyard, they're all white. In the front, we got different colors, but the most fragrant ones are the white roses, particularly here in the garden. So I'm not surprised that you were able to smell them.
Well, it surprises me because I don't often receive smells, but I sure did receive that one. So you work with the aura in the flower therapy healing.
Yes.
And you work with the chakras more in the quantum bioenergetics. You know, years and years ago, Raul, I had training in bioenergetics. That is quite different from quantum bioenergetics, correct?
Yes, correct. It is.
Okay.
But in essence, what you're trying to do is truly firstly, you need to understand your own quantum bioenergetics in your own body in order to later on work with somebody else. Because truly, the minute that you are starting to feel the energy, it's like pulling on a rubber band on your hands. Yes, but you need to make certain that that rubber band is not going to snap, because you will inflict pain on the person. So you have to be very aware on how you actually use that modality. And I became an advanced facilitator. And I remember the facilitation exam that we had. They dim all the lights in the room. And I remember the instructor saying to me, "Go, Raul." And suddenly I was concentrated so much that she could see the colors of the auras on the person that I was treating, how I was actually changing them, and how the chakras were coming into alignment by my intervention.
Now, that brings up an interesting question for me. A lot of healers that I talk to say that they don't do anything. They are simply like the electric cord that connects the power source to the appliance being used. Do you sort of get out of the way and let spirit do this? Or are you an active participant? How does that work for you?
I think that it works both ways. You need to be an active participant because you need to know what you are doing. You cannot just wave your hands around and expect that things are going to happen. You need to understand how all of this quantum bioenergetic works and how you actually are an instrument to facilitate that balancing and that healing. But also, the reason that they did the dimming of the lights is because when you go into that zone and you allow yourself, by still taking into account your knowledge and skills, but you're getting yourself out of the way by saying, I already know this. I know what I need to do, but I do not need to be thinking constantly about it because I already learned that. Yes? It's when you get out of the way that you become that conduit, but you still need to be aware that you don't need to do anything to be able to either make the person feel uncomfortable or even hurt them. So it's kind of like cuts both ways, if you know what I mean.
I do. And as a matter of fact, I'm fascinated by the fact that it mirrors what we were talking about before about manifestation and the laws of attraction, in that it's, again, that balance between getting out of the way and listening for, paying attention to the nudges, and being the active participant in that process. So what
Yes,
you're describing, go ahead.
Yes. If you say to me, well, you're just a conduit, then why on earth do you go and do a course? You just, it's natural and you become the conduit. But to me, I remember when I first got information about this course, I woke up at, I don't know, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't sleep. And I turned on a channel and there was somebody being interviewed, and it was the lady that was facilitating this. And I remember saying to my partner 1 in the morning, I cannot tell you why and how, but I need to learn to use this. How am I going to use it? I do not know. But I learned it, and I didn't use it straight away, but I started using it a little bit later. But once you know what you're doing, that knowledge and those skills do not go away from you. It's that you learn to actually assimilate them. It's very similar to driving a car. When you start learning, you pay attention to everything. Then some days you go from A to B and you think, how did I get here?
Uh-huh.
It's the same way. Once you are unconsciously competent, then you get out of the way.
That makes great sense to me. Now, I do have another question that's kind of an inclusive question.
Yes.
You have these three main modalities: the quantum bioenergetics, the angel card readings, the flower therapy healing. Do you use them in combination, or are they separate from each other? How does that work when a client comes to you?
It truly depends on what the client came to see me for. Sometimes I may start by doing an angel card reading to see where the energy actually sits. Then as information is coming through, I will recommend that perhaps we go either flower therapy or quantum bioenergetics. And I see people on a monthly basis, particularly with quantum bioenergetics and with flower therapy healing and with angel cards. So I got regular people that they will see me for, on a regular basis for those different three issues. But it really depends on the client, on what are they trying to attain.
Uh-huh. Whether it's a
Some
physical
people may
thing
come
or
to see me for a reading, and that's all they want.
Uh-huh. And I would imagine, as a healer myself, there's so many issues or challenges that people face at an emotional and spiritual levels, but they manifest physically. So
Correct.
it sounds to me like, because you have these three modalities, you're able to address people where they are, not where they would like to be or where you think they are, but where they actually are.
Yeah, and that's what I usually say to them. In anything that I do is I work with the energy that is being given, and it may not be what you would like to hear, but it will be what you need to hear in order to evolve, in order to heal, in order to become the best version of you.
I love it. On your website, one of the things it says that you can include in readings or personal photos. So that's a kind of psychometry.
It is a little bit of psychometry, but it's more about I work with the energy of the photo, the energy that sometimes it could be a place. It doesn't have to be a person's face. And that energy comes across to me kind of like instantaneously. And it could even be an amazing scenery, but I could feel that there was something not quite right in that situation, in that scenery, in that place at that time. And I will actually pass on that to the person. And more times than not, people will say, "How did you know that?" And I said, it's what I receive. And I usually, if somebody makes an appointment with me, I've only gone first name basis. So they know that I'm not going to go on Google and try and find out things about them. Sorry, I think I lost you.
Are you there, Jody?
Oops.
Oh, I am. I'm still
Okay,
here.
sorry.
Okay. I'll re-ask my question. Raul, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
I can.
great. Okay, great. What I was wondering about, some of this you may have heard, I'm not sure, whether you find you can work at a distance as well as in person, like on Skype.
Yes, I can. Yes,
Okay.
I do that on Skype, and sometimes it's pure distance. A client of mine that is a regular client of mine in Adelaide, and we spoke a few times on the telephone. But I worked on quantum bioenergetics because what I use, and what I use particularly in my sessions, is that I have a diagram of either a male or female body, and in that diagram, I just place that on my massage table, and I'm tuning into the energy. And what I usually ask the client is to be on their bed at a particular time. So we are both doing the same tuning in at that particular time. And then I just write a report and I email that to the person. And usually they come back to me with saying, "Oh my God, how did you know? And how did you find that?" I was feeling exactly the same thing. And it does work at a distance, yes.
I find that it works at a distance too. I don't feel any difference between working in person and working at a distance. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, why does it work?
Because when you come from a place of love, honesty, and integrity, it works.
It's a
You
simple
give the best of you, and the person give the best of them, and then you meet there in the middle and sort it all out.
I just think that makes total sense. So basically, what you're saying is that when someone comes to you, and I'm going to ask you another question about that in a moment, when a person comes to you, what's important is what they perceive they need, matching to what you perceive is what's needed. And then there's a blending of those things using whatever modality is right for that situation. Does that kind of sum up what you do?
Indeed, it does. And also what I'm guided. The angels will guide me to say, "No, you know what? This person will benefit a lot from flower therapy." And I go with that and I follow through.
That's really awesome. Once again, how do people find you, Raul, if this is something they're interested in?
Certainly, they can go to my website, www.crystalbluebutterfly.com.au, www.crystalbluebutterfly.com.au, or they can also go to, if they would like to find out more about the books, for example, they can go to Facebook and just go to my author's page, Raul Estevez Author, and they can get in touch with me through there because they can send me messages because it really depends wherever they are in the world. And I'm happy to hear from them, and I will reply as soon as I am able to. Bear in mind that I'm in Australia, down under. So if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, when you're up, I'm asleep. So don't be afraid that I'm not answering. It's that I'm actually asleep. When I wake up, I'll answer.
That makes great sense. We don't have a lot of time left, believe it or not. But there was one thing I wanted to. Time flies when you're talking to people you really enjoy talking to. There is a word that seems to come up often with regard to you personally and to your work, and that word is gentle. Gentle.
Yes,
And why
yes.
is that? Why do people associate that word gentle with you and your practice?
I guess it's because I come from a place of pure love. And when you love somebody, something, or someone, is that you need to be gentle, you need to be compassionate. You cannot be in a rush. Um, you cannot just say, well, here's a reading, see you later, thank you so much. People get in touch with me at any time. I have a mobile number that is a dedicated number for the business. So I will answer through that. And if I cannot answer straight away, I will let them know. And it's the idea that by truly being gentle, firstly with you and then with others, that's what actually brings one, first, me being an individual and a particular individual, a unique individual, but my uniqueness becomes part of that oneness that we all talk about. And in order for me to be part of that collective that we all talk about, my I will say my underpinning emotion will be that emotion of love and of gentleness.
And I think, Raul, to sum this all up, what occurs to me is that what what you really bring to the individuals you whose lives you touch is that you you live, and this is, the essence of what Spirit Weavers is about. You live your gentleness. It's a part of who you are, and therefore, as it goes out from you, it does touch the whole. Now, it touches the whole in very specific ways when you're working with someone, but it touches, for example, all the people who are listening to this radio show today, all the people who will listen to the encore. And that's
Yes.
really the gift that I'm perceiving. Michael is telling me right now that is totally accurate.
Yes, and thank you.
So-
And yes, thank you, Archangel Michael. Uh, he's actually tapping me in the shoulder and saying, yes, thank you. And I'm extremely grateful for your words and extremely grateful for the people that are allowing us to have this conversation with one another, that are enabling us, the radio station, the producer behind the scene, that it's giving us this opportunity to share our knowledge, skills, but also our love with everybody out there. And if I can be of to anybody of assistance, please do not hesitate to ask. Um, we all have bills to pay, but not everything is about money. And I'm extremely grateful that I'm able to do this. And if somebody needs assistance, I will give my assistance regardless of whether you can pay or not. But it needs to be honest, it needs to be true, and you need to come from a place of integrity, because I can read the ones that they're trying to get away with it. And I can also
right.
see the ones that they're truly honest. And if you're truly honest and you have love and integrity, I will be here to help you.
What a wonderful way to end this show. I'd like to invite all of our listeners, whether you're on TuneIn or at SOC Radio, wherever it is you're listening in from. SOC Radio has a number of really wonderful radio shows upcoming, and you can find them at SOC Radio on Facebook, at spiritualistsonline.com, and go to the radio schedule and take advantage of the very different ways that those of us who are in the soul family Raul and I have been talking about are bringing their love and their light into the world. Raul, thank you so much for an absolutely wonderful time together.
From my soul to yours, Jody, I'm immensely grateful for being able to hold space with you and being able to share this love and light with everyone out there. And who knows, hopefully we'll do it all over again one day.
That would be wonderful. I'd like to also give a quick thank you to our producer, Colin, who has extended himself hugely to be able to facilitate this, to use your word, Raul. So on that note, I would like to wish each and every one of you a wonderful night's sleep if it's your turn to do that, a beautiful day if it is your turn to do that. So love, hugs, and blessings to you all. And thank you for joining us here on Spirit Weavers.
You have been listening to Jody White Wolf Morrison, Spirit Weavers on SOC Radio, brought to you by Spiritualists Online Network and Lyceum at spiritualistonline.com. Thanks for listening.